Another type of solution that we have for this edge angle construction that is the typical, that requires bending of the plate in the shop. It requires the field welding of anchors onto the inside for the structural engineer to be satisfied with the load. It involves the construction of the welded tabs to anchor onto the exterior of it. Replaces this steel edge angle with a new type of an extrusion pour stop edge angle. This has the channel that is built into it that offers the lateral flexibility all up and down the building edge, so that curtain walls can now be bolted and hung quickly, saving about 40 to 50% of their construction time. They don't have to weld to the exterior of the edge angle anymore. It also eliminates the structural concern for the structural engineer of record. They don't have to worry about how the load is transferred back into their slab. Most of the load, the wind load that is developed through this, is concentric. It allows for the load to be transferred directly back into the top level of the beam. For loads that are eccentric with dead load that's attached on to the edge out here, we do have features that allow for this reduced load because now it's concentric. Most of the load is concentric, but this is added on, and you can see a secondary slot that is back behind the edge angle that allows for the trapping of a bolt that goes into it or a bent reinforcing, and this develops the load back into the concrete for any eccentric loads that are developed from dead load. Again, most all the loads, the wind loads, are concentric, and they're taken through the attachment into the beam, the top of the beam. So this eliminates a lot of the problem with the eccentric loads that are placed upon the edge angle for the structural engineer of record. So each one of these and their loads can have a load table that is pre-identified for the structural engineer of record to be able to specify this type of edge angle around the entire building. He doesn't have to worry about the bending of the edge angle anymore by welded construction onto the exterior of this edge angle. And he's always been worried about that. As a structural engineer of record, I was always worried about how much load is out here being applied, will this edge angle bend? And he's worried about developing of those loads back into the slab, so they have to weld on these field weld or shop weld these to the bent plate. The bent plate is expensive because they got to bend it in the shop. Then they have to weld these on, and then the benefit to the general contractor, the curtain wall contractor, is they don't have to weld onto this system anymore. They're just simply able to bolt on and adjust laterally wherever they need to have a curtain wall. They can adjust it laterally now, and it's all in one. So the solution is provided to transfer loads concentrically for wind load, and then for any dead loads that are applied, that small amount of load, whatever the dead load is, can be transferred back up into the slab through this entrapped bolted anchor. So there's no more welding to the inside of this type of edge angle. It's trapped in place by the concrete. Hi, I'm Stuart Jeske. I'm a professional structural engineer who specializes in curtain wall system design. Prior to that experience, I have experience as a structural engineer of record designing full building systems, including concrete structures and steel structures.